What up, what up, what up? How you all doing, my people? This is a new channel. Well, here we are gonna have more in-depth videos because on Bunny Hub's channel I'm gonna try to, do more dopaminic videos with a lot of, edits and cuts and all of that. But now here we're gonna explain a little bit more the things. So I here wanna explain how we got to the final result on the How to Karan, because it's like not clear at all. Most of my videos on the Bunny Hub's channel are not clear at all, but we're gonna get straight into it right now. I got this new pair of headphones, this Audio Technica, so we are in the game again. The basis of the sound design on the main bass, that it's that one, the bleepy one, that's the first one we are gonna break down. It's this patch. And I'm gonna make this from scratch so I can explain it to you better. First of all, I'm gonna use a sine wave, okay? Then we're gonna have on the oscillator B a square wave, and we're gonna also use the sub oscillator. Now, sub oscillator and the oscillator B, the level is gonna be all the way down. On sub oscillator, we're gonna choose the square wave, and we're gonna go, I don't know, 3 octaves lower, and we're gonna start to play with the FM. So we have first the FM from B, we have here but that's not enough, so let's go on oscillator B and put a FM from sub, and let's increase it. What? So basically that's, the base of all of that. After playing a bit with, I will show you how I played. With the knob itself, with the octaves, with the car speed. In that way. So I got a lot of sounds here. So I chose the best one I liked, I would say. And well, obviously I remade the whole pattern. So what I did was, double click this. We have the sample, and I put the pitch range up to 6, and I play with it. I made an automation clip here, as you can see, and I play with the pitch with that. So after that, I rendered that shit, okay, and we got now this one. So, well, let's go ahead and break down the effects on all of this shit. I'll return the volume of this up. Then we have a multi-band delay, and it's on the steep mode. Then we have an OTT. Then we have some disperser. Then we have some convolution reverb. Then we have this EQ. Then some Forman filter. Then more EQing. And one more EQ just to, make sure. Then after that we have these automations, but I'm gonna explain that with this other layer. But that layer with the current one I'm explaining, those bases are routed to the same bus, I would say. We have first a G clip, to turn the volume up a lot, so I'm gonna turn this down again. Then some OTT. So after that, we will have this layer. Now, basically what I did was, let's grab another sound out of the Edison recording. Let's say this one, okay? So the result of this is because I grabbed the sound, I stretched it a little bit, the stretch mode, obviously. We have this bit, I would say it's cool. And let's play with the pitch a little bit, I would say 4 on the range, and like this maybe. So I brought it to this channel, and before anything, I used the spectral gate. Well, basically playing that way with the spectral gate. So you got this sound basically. Something like that. But that's the principle, that was the basics out of that sound for me to get to that sound. So first of all, I grabbed an OTT, then some EQing, then some convolution reverb, then some more EQ, then some form and filter, and then we have now the automations. So we have first the frequency shifter that, to create an automation on FL Studio, you have to, first of all, turn on this option. Then you go to your knob or wherever you're gonna automate and move it. Then you select the part you wanna automate. Let's say this bit, and then you right click this, create automation clip, and you have it. Well, whatever. Now we have this automation going with the bass, and it will sound like this. Okay, that's funny. Then we have the reverb, that's also another automation. We have the automation right here. I automated by just the mix level. You right click this and create automation clip. That's it. But the reverb basically is, playing with the dry. This washout reverb is usually with a lot of wet, not that much decay, and the dry is also kind of all of the way down. So I play with those standards to get that. After that, I use the disperser. Then we have some EQing. Now we have some OTT. And those together sounds like this. Okay, that's great. Because, the drums are not that, in this case, crazy. Then, for example, we have this basses. I don't want to overcomplicate this, so I will break this down easily. I usually don't break my head. I'm trying to do like basses. You have first the sine wave of the oscillator A. That's the first thing. We have on the oscillator B a saw wave. The level is all the way down, and we select the bend plus and minus. So we have this whole range of motion to play with. So I grab the LFO one and play with the whole range of motion on this bend plus minus, okay? After that, as you can see, I have an automation on the level, and after that we have some FRM from me. So You know, without the pen plus and minus will sound like just like that, but with it will sound like this. Then we have some band pass filter, also modulated by the LFO1. And then we have some distortion, which is also modulated by the LFO1. And finally we have some compression, but the multiband is turned off. So we only turn on the gain. We only turn up the gain. So the post-processing is not that much. We have only some OTT first. Then we have some full filter, some EQing, and a G clip. Then we have the sub, that is basically a sine wave. But you know, I think you already know, if you're a real one on the channel, what I usually use for my sub. Now we have an update where you can have the subwoofer with the third-party plugins as always, but also you have one for stock plugins on FL Studio and on Ableton, so my Ableton brothers can have the subwoofer. Both the third-party plugins on FL Studio and Ableton, as well as the stock plugins for FL Studio and Ableton, so check that out. For the ones who already have it, I'ma be sure that I can send the update to those because you don't have to pay for the update. Okay, whatever. Then we have the second other bass that is like, you know, yay. So in this case, the only thing that I changed on this bass is the wave. We had that first. Then I just switched this. But as you can see, there's something missing that I just forgot. If I turn this off, because we're not using no FM in, so only with the band filter it's okay, and we have some compression, but in this case the multiband is on. So if it's turned off, watch this out. With it, it's really compressed. So well, without the post-processing will sound like this. So the post-processing is doing some work. First of all, we have some OTT. Then we have some form filter. Then we have some EQing. And finally some G clipping. So basically that's for the whole drop. So I wanted to explain all of that in this video, not on the Bunny Hubs video, because again, that's like for entertainment, you know, for people to catch the idea of what's production, but this is like the real shit, the in-depth shit. And if you got to this part of the video, we have a free sample pack, as I mentioned on the Karan video, if you didn't watch it. So that will be all for today's video. Love you all. Thanks for supporting. I'm gonna, you know, be active right now. Things are gonna change. See you in the next one. Poop.